this Sunday morning. We are going to have a great day on the way. We'll have your forecast update in 3.5 minutes. Just about everybody wants to burn more calories and drop fat. I think that's pretty universal. And working the large muscle groups in your legs, certainly one of the keys. Well, the problem is squats and deadlifts can be tough on your back and your knees if you're not doing them properly. Here to help us do them right, you know who he is. It's Chad Sundberg, trainerchad.com. Good morning, Chad.
Morning, Tom.
All right, so this is a big one. We're talking about the hip hinge. But first, before we do that, how beneficial, truly, when it comes to the overall calorie burning when we get our legs engaged, our large muscle groups? How much do we need this?
Oh, I mean, this is about safety in terms of learning the hip hinge, but in terms of the calorie burn from the legs,
right,
it's like revving the jet engines for your body. The biggest fat burners, calorie consumers are your legs, your back, your entire core, which is 36 muscle groups that attach to the pelvis.
And important for old and young alike.
Right.
To even the seniors who are now working out, and a lot of them are, to learn something like this.
Right.
All right, hip hinge, let's get to it. What do we need to know to do it correctly?
So first off, what is the hip hinge? It's simply the safe way to lift from the back and the legs.
Because you see a lot of rounded backs, you see people leaning over, and there's a lot of strain going on.
Right. Yeah, and I'll work with a new client, you know, and I'll see a mess, you know, going in a squatting movement. You know, for example, we'll start with the bad example first.
Don't do this.
Don't do this. Okay.
Knees are going way over the toes.
Right. And for people who have had back injuries, they come out of the back injury rehab process saying lift from the legs, not with the back. However, then they still, in a lot of cases, have not mastered the hip hinge at all.
All right, so show us this hinge then.
Okay, so the hip hinge is simply booty pop, or in other words, stick the butt out. Don't be afraid to do that. Get that arch in that back, shoulders back, stack the neck, keep the neck neutral, don't do anything weird with the head, and come down by driving your hips back, not by bringing those knees over the toes or rounding the back.
And it's going to feel unnatural at first because it's the opposite of what most of us have been doing, right?
We got to hide this, right? So let's keep it tucked in and let's injure ourselves, though. I mean, that's where we get a little extreme.
Right.
So, and most injuries, by the way, happen when you're in this position and then you rotate. That's where the disc goes.
Okay.
So.
All right, show us those lifts and exactly how people should be doing this with this hinge.
Right, so I brought with me a body bar here just to demonstrate. This is a Romanian deadlift with the hip hinge movement again, so I'm just driving my hips back. And as I'm doing this, the way that's happening is my hip flexors are actually pulling and flexing, pulling my hips back.
So what should be in our mind then? What should we be concentrating on in order to do that right, whether it's with a 12-pound bar or maybe just without any weight?
You need to feel your weight in your heels. You have to feel your chest out and feel that pulling, the flexing of the hip flexor as you come down. One way that I'll help clients who have a problem with rounding the back, which is the #1 problem, is we'll use the body bar
on the back
to create 3 points of contact. Head, you can see here, head, back of the shoulders, and hips. And then in this position, I will say, okay, now hip hinge back. And 3 points of contact need to stay right with the bar. If that starts to leave, you lost your hip hinge and you're risking your back.
And people can use that, like they can use a broomstick or anything that doesn't have to be a weighted bar to do that. And this is something that we can practice before we go and lift then.
Exactly.
So it's the squat and the deadlifts and things like that. And that's what's strengthening our huge leg muscles.
Right. Babies learn to walk by feel. So a lot of times people aren't going to get the hip hinge until they feel where their body needs to be. That's called proprioception, feeling the correct position of your body. And so when I work with clients, this is a critical building point before we add any load, before we ever go to the barbell back squat, the barbell bent over row, or even a dumbbell
totally on his heels too.
Rear delt fly.
All right, well, we are out of time for this, but if you'd like some more information, you want Chad to help you out, you can do that pretty easily. Just go to trainerchad.com on the old web, or you can give him a call at 612-799-7351. Always, Chad, giving us things to think about. We really appreciate that. Have a great Sunday. It's your cheat day, right? You get to have
I do a little bit of cheating now, but not too much.
A few treats.
Yeah.
It is 7:30 or 7:49 on this Sunday morning. Marina, we're still talking about great weather, getting outside, just taking a walk today.
I want to see you do the butt pop. Right now.
You want me to do it?
Yes, right now. Let's see it.
Well, you know, it is.
Let's see it, Tom.
It's pretty good. So.
Let's see it.
Oh, you can't take it. The computers are in charge here. You just missed it. I don't think. All right, let's see if
Okay, here we go. Here we go. Come on. Come on.
Is that right?
Pretty good. That's a great hip hinge, Tom.
Wow, what is that all about? What was that
sorry.
move? I feel like my 3.5-year-old daughter.
I had to see it. I had to see it. All right.
What's wrong with me? Get out of here, Chad. Get out of here. Go back to the, do the weather.
All right. Well, we were looking at a